This is the aftermath of an electrical fire that was in Unit 16. This happened a little bit before Christmas. It was a couple weeks before Christmas in 2019. And it seemed to occur there was a short in this wiring that was actually coming out of the conduit. And it started to burn up here at the junction with the ballast. But it also burned in a couple places. You see it got pretty hot because it discolored the paint on this metal here. And you can see the discoloring up in there. And this is another wire right here. As you can see, it's pretty charred. That's a connector that's crimped together. I don't know exactly what this is all for, but this is another one here. Hopefully we can get it to focus. You can see it's all charred up there. And there's another one right here that was connected to one of these other ends, and it was charred, and it burned pretty good and made quite a bit of smoke. And we have a piece of Bruce's fire detection system that he claims works, and it never went off, never activated the fire alarm. So I doubt if it actually works. I doubt if it's anything more than just show. So this is where we had and after this actually burned is when I lost all the power in Unit 16. All the lights don't work. You can see there's a light at the back here. It's wired up just as goofily as this one here is. So if I can get it to focus. You can see this was like this. This was a light that was in here when I came in. And it's just wired up with an extension cord, which isn't legal. It's not code. It drops down. It was supposed to be plugged into an outlet somewhere down here on near the floor, I guess. But this is what I've been dealing with electricity-wise, and when I came in, none of this stuff really worked satisfactory. The lights were always very dim, and then they would get bright, then get dim again. And it's stuff like this that's been wired incorrectly. And it's just, there's no standards to any of this stuff. And you can see the wire runs from that, hanging down here, loops up here, and goes right here. You can see that wire is wrapped around. Somebody's taped off the end of it, and this is most likely was at one time a live wire, and was probably why we were getting all the bad neutrals or bad grounds and the electrocution here in the steel grid of this building, because all this goes right here, this conduit from right there goes right down here to an electrical box. And when I first moved in, guess what? I got to plug in a cord, and I got electrocuted on this conduit when I touched this box. And this is the reason why. It's because there's a live wire, live at one time, that's attached to this truss, and it's grounding to this. And this is the way this was when I moved in. This is nothing that I have done. And this is just the tip of the iceberg. The other part of it are the water leaks that we have. Pardon the flies that are flying around in here, because they're now in here because of the water that pools into the truck when it leaks. And it rained on Monday. But there's water leaks along that mid seam there where that wood is. And it leaks on top of a wire conduit in a junction box that is on top of that truss. Not the one in the middle there, but it's a little bit further over towards the wall. And water leaks right onto that, and that's the other end of the problem with the electric. And as you can see, there's more wires just hanging loose, going to whatever back there in the far wall. And the only lights that I have working are these three lights, That one is hooked up to God knows how many different units. This one here and the other one at the back are running off of extension cords that are plugged into an outlet that's over in unit 18, the cord coming through the wall. And this is the grand, highly functional electricity that we have in Bruce Masagna's warehouse units. And his solution is you just do whatever you want to do, you fix it. And that's not appropriate. It was not like this. It was like this when I moved in. I could never get Bruce to actually fix any of this or even take it seriously. I mean, I've had accusations of I did it to I don't know nothing about that, you should have told me, to that I've actually run up a $1,500 electric bill every month. So without any functional electric in here, and if I run more than about 2 amps on the other side, that pops a circuit breaker constantly. I don't see how I could run up a $1,500 a month electric bill. But this is the electrical fiasco. Since I was up here real close to it, I figure I would try to film it. There's that wire hanging down that's all burned up. I got my truck finally together and I'm getting ready to pull it out. It makes it really easy to get up here and look at this stuff and do it standing in the back of the truck. And again, you can see how burned up that ballast got on this light. But I don't think it was the ballast that caused the problem, because there's a couple other places in the wiring where it's actually gotten burned and fried, and that wouldn't be just the ballast. This is a problem in the wiring that caused this thing to burn up. Probably a bad ground or a bad neutral. I don't know which one it is. I haven't put any meters on it to test it or do anything. It's not my responsibility to do this kind of stuff for Bruce. So this is our electrical in Unit 16.